Hello, welcome to this short tutorial on how to make scary weave. So scary weave is a beautiful weave which in my opinion looks amazing in two colours, but also is so much easier to do in two colours as well. So it's based on like the bee stings, honeybee kind of weave. The units themselves are very simple to make up. Connecting them just is a little bit fiddly, but once you get used to it, you'll be absolutely fine. So you need jump rings of about an aspect ratio of about 5. The ones that I'm using are 5.3, so there's that little bit more wiggle room and it's a little bit more fluid. So I prefer the aspect ratio of 5.3 for this one rather than aspect ratio 5. So to get started, we need to make some of our little units up. So these are the units that we're going to make. And it's all to do with the way that they stack rather than anything else. So to make a unit, we need 2 jump rings that are closed. So I'm just going to go ahead and close 2 jump rings. There's 1 and 2. And we're going to need an open jump ring to connect them together. So just placing on my 2 closed jump rings onto an open jump ring and close, and then we're going to do the same on the other side. So I'm just going to take a single open jump ring and go through the 2 jump rings there that are closed and close that one up. So we've now got a chain of 1, 2, 1. You're going to need 2 more jump rings just to make these units up, and I'm using the silver plated jump rings for this. So the only different colour that I'm going to use is the bare copper for the 2 closed jump rings. When I connect it up in this demo weave, I will use a different colour to connect it. So we're going to take our piece of chain that we've made and we're going to hold it by the 2 single jump rings. Now what we need to do is we need to just split these 2 jump rings in the middle so that they form an eye shape. So you can see now we've got the eye shape in the middle, and then we've got a gap on this side and a gap on this side. So nothing's holding them in that position, it's just that you've just split them open. Ignore the 2 silver jump rings on the end. And what we're going to do is take an open jump ring, we're going to come up through one jump ring and down through the other, so it goes around that eye shape that we've just made. And we're going to close that up. And now when we open those 2 side rings back up, what we have is we've got our jump ring that's going around that eye shape. So that's the top view. This is the view that you've just added that jump ring in. So you can see it's gone through gap number 1, over the top of gap number 2, and down through gap number 3. And that now is sitting on the top of my weave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my work over so that I've now got the same situation, but you can see that jump ring's actually forced that gap for me, so the second jump ring's a lot easier to go in. I'm going to take an open jump ring again. I'm going to come up through gap number 1, so the gap that's on my left, and down through gap number 3. So we're just going around the eye that's being formed and close. And that is your unit. So you can see now it's got a side jump ring either side, and then 2 jump rings that mirror each other front and back, with your 2 bare copper jump rings that are now split into that formation. So that is one of our units. So you need to go ahead and make a few of those units up. You're going to need at least 2 to start with, obviously, to connect them together. So it's up to you how you do this. You can make all your units and then connect them, or make just a few units and then connect them. So the first thing we need to do is we need to just put a handle on one end of this. So I've just got a safety pin. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up one of my units. Now, we have to look at the placement of these 2 bare copper rings. Now these 2 bare copper rings always have to be in the same placement. So the one, so if we have it vertical like this, we need this bottom jump ring to be the lowest one down and the top jump ring to sit on top. And it's the same with all of them. Okay, so they're all going to go the same way. So these bottom jump rings are lower, the top jump rings are higher. And again, if I bring in the next one, again, we've got that same formation all the way through. So if one of them is pointing this way, you can see that it's in a different formation now, and that won't work. That's going to actually lock the weave up. It won't work at all. So they all need to face the same way. So when I make them, I place them down on my work surface in this formation. So we're going to pick up our safety pin, and we're going to pick up the two jump rings that have actually split the bare copper jump rings up. So it's the two central jump rings, and I'm just going to place my pin down through the middle of those two central jump rings. Okay, so you can see there, it's just picked up those two, and it's going to lock that first unit in place. Now if I turn this around so you can see down the weave vertically, what you'll see is you've got now 3 layers of silver jump rings, or 3 rows of silver jump rings. Okay, so we've got our one here, the central ones where there is 2, and then a single one at the bottom with the 1. Now remember we said about the placement of the jump rings. This is where it's really important that we have that bottom jump ring lower down. So our first connection is going to, so when we connect these units together, we only connect the bare copper jump rings, only 1 to 1. Okay, so 1 jump ring from this side and 1 jump ring from the new unit. But you can see the layers that we've got. So we've got that center layer that's got the 2, and the top layers that have got the bottom ones. This next jump ring is going to go in between layer 1 and 2, so the top jump ring and the middle jump rings, and it's only going to connect to the bare copper jump ring. Oops, sorry. Get that to focus. It's only going to connect to that bare copper jump ring, and it's going between the top and the middle sections. Okay, so that's that jump ring in place. Now in my next unit that we're going to connect to, if I pick it up, we're going to look at the top jump ring. So the bottom jump ring connects to the top jump ring, and this time instead of going between level 1 and 2, it's going to go between 2 and 3. So it's actually going to go onto this section here. Okay, so just in there. Yep, you can see there that jump ring. If I bring it really close, there you go. So this is the top jump ring here. There's my level 1, level 2, and then level 3 at the bottom. It's going to go onto this jump ring here. So I'm going to just pick up the jump ring that I've just left in place. So that's there, and pick up this in my non-dominant hand. And what I tend to do is I tend to just move that second layer jump ring out of the way, and then just add it through the rose gold jump ring, just like so. So it's now connected to the top of the top jump ring in my bare copper jump rings. Let's get that to focus. And it's gone in between level 2 and 3. So you can see that there. I'm just going to close that up. So they actually connect diagonally, if you like. So it's going between level 1 and 2 for the first unit and level 2 and 3 for the second unit. Let me just open that, make sure that that's connected together. And there you've got, let me just place it down on there actually. There you've got your first connection in place. I was going to do another one for you. So bring another unit across, pick up my connecting jump ring, which is already open, and this one is going to go through this bottom bare copper jump ring, and it's going to connect into the bare copper jump ring, but in between level 1 and 2. So these jump rings are slightly bigger than what you need for the weave, so it makes it quite difficult when they're a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to connect that through. There we go. So it's between that level 1 and 2 there, and we're going to pick up our next one, making sure that it's still in the correct orientation of the bottom jump ring being the lowest, top jumping on top of the bare copper ones, and this one goes through level 2 and 3, in between 2 and 3, and just connects to the bare copper jump ring. So you can see they're just folded out of the way. You can see how they've all just folded out of the way and close. So like I say, the main thing with this weave is not actually the units, it's just making up, like connecting them together. But once you've got it, it's quite easy. I'm just going to do one more for you. And again, taking an open jump ring, we're looking at this bottom bare copper jump ring here, in between level 1 and 2. So it just slips in there, it doesn't connect to anything else. It's just gone straight through there, picking up my last prepared unit, and it's going to go through levels in between level 2 and 3. So just fold the silver jump rings out of the way and connect it to level 2 and 3, in between 2 and 3 should I say, and close, and then just push them all back together. Now sometimes if it gets a little bit jumbled here, all you need to make sure is that you've got the 2 jump rings that are mirroring each other in the correct position. So the top one and the bottom one, so if I just turn it over, this bottom one here that you can see here, that just needs going in place and you'll be absolutely fine. So you weave along until you've got the length of your chain, and then to attach your clasp, all you're going to do is replace the safety pin that you added, or your handle that you added, with an open jump ring and attach one clasp to that, and then the same on the other side, but instead of attaching a clasp you have that as a loose ring or a safety or an extended chain, whatever you want, and there you've got your beautiful scary weave. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know if you have any questions or any queries, or you want me to go through anything else again. Let me know in the comments. Thanks a lot. Bye.